From the deepest oceans to the highest peaks, life in its myriad forms adapts, thrives, and endlessly surprises. And the most curious creatures are often overlooked. Today, we turn our lens to a species rarely documented in its natural habitat. Small, shadowy echoes of human emotion, these are the cacodemons, or as they are affectionately known, Cocoa Puffs. The elusive shyness puff, a creature of profound introversion, prone to whispering and hiding. It thrives in shadows and hates eye contact. Often mistaken for allergies presented with homework, dropped Wi-Fi, or injustice in group projects. The grief puff will appear at unexpected moments. After goodbyes, sad songs, or when memory sneaks up uninvited. It may require chocolate or hugs, or both. A close relative of grief can be found in the loneliness puff, quiet and still in the wilds of isolation. It often practices small talk with squirrels and bumblebees. One of the most common yet perplexing subspecies is the anxiety puff. Always overthinking, it prepares for disasters that may never come. With a diet of half-baked rumination, this is a creature of magnificent inefficiency. Though unseen by most, Cocoa Puffs are everywhere. Shadows that giggle, sigh, or silently panic in tandem with us. These extraordinary creatures continue their tireless work, an essential part of the tapestry of human existence, quiet proof that you are never alone. Not really.
The Court of the Dead is now in session. All rise for the judge.
The Court of the Dead in and for the District of New Jersey is hereby called to order. You may be seated. Bailiff, bring out the accused.
Next on the docket, the Gods versus Riordan and Mark Oshiro. The court will now hear testimony in connection with their indefensible actions.
Riordan and Mark Oshiro, you have been jointly and severally accused of repeatedly violating the law. In that regard, there is only one true, eternal, and immutable law in this universe. The only thing which is constant is everything. Nothing changes. Everything is as it was, as it shall be. And that is the way life works. Look at the gods, 3,000 years, and still engaged in the same petty quarrels and tiffs. Look at the demigods. They're born with fatal flaws, they live with their fatal flaws, they die with their fatal flaws. They do not seek to improve or change, and that, too, is good. You humans, you think you can change? You can't even change the logo of a restaurant without causing mass hysteria. And that, too, is good and the way that it should be. But you two Eucharistic human beings, looking at you, you have been accused of repeatedly changing. And it is also a true and eternal law that you cannot spell change without spelling the word hang. And I swear by the gods, if you have changed, you will hang. Present the first charge.
Changing your mind. You started out wanting to be a rock star.
Who is this modern day Orpheus?
Oh, I don't know that I'd go that far. That's me. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, in the 1980s when I was in college, I wanted to be a rock star. That's true. We played in a not so great folk rock cover band. I was the lead singer. Choices were made that perhaps I would revisit. That's true enough.
But then, you got married.
Okay, now that's a change I would have to stand by. That's me and Becky. By the way, we have the same birthday. We were born on the same day, the same year. She's 30 minutes older than I am. So naturally, we had to get married on our birthday. So that's us cutting our birthday/wedding cake. I know. But in defense, I've never forgotten my anniversary.
And then, you settled down with children.
True. Another big change. Yeah, okay, those are my sons, Haley and Patrick. They don't look like that anymore. 27 and 30, I don't know how that happened. But I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have told bedtime stories which led to Percy Jackson. So I mean, I kind of have to say they were pretty good.
Agreed.
Objection overruled. The fact is, you did change. And I presume you even changed diapers?
That's one change I didn't really love, but yes, I did change the diapers, yes.
And you became a teacher.
Well, that's true. That would be me in my classroom in San Antonio, Texas around, 2001. I taught middle school for a long time, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I taught English and history. But I mean, I always felt like I was really into English and history, and I like stories, so I don't know that it was so much of a change as kind of doing the same thing I always liked in a different way.
But you kept changing your look.
Oh no.
Why? What? How?
Okay, fair. The How costume store? Yeah. I was in San Francisco. This was probably taken around 1992. I was teaching in San Francisco and I was doing a Shakespeare unit, so I decided I would come to school dressed like that. The students were mortified, obviously.
Did they? I have a thought that I didn't have yesterday. You kind of look like one of those people who gets interviewed on an episode of Law and Order. Like they come in and you have like specialist knowledge on one element of the case. That's what this looks like.
Really specialized
Yeah,
knowledge.
very specialized.
Are you trying to be a judge here with this wig?
I mean, it's
Not
a
a
nice...
good judge.
Well, it's a nice wig. Now, once again, I loved humiliating my students, I suppose. So when I taught American history, I showed up in full colonial regalia here. There were questions, but most of them forgave me.
And we don't even know what you were trying to be here.
Okay, what was I thinking? Oh, okay, so that book is from the Rick Riordan Presents imprint, right? That is Carlos Hernandez's book, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe. I remember, it's like a multiverse novel, right? So we had this idea that we'd all get on social media and dress up as different versions of ourselves so we could be reading his book in different dimensions. So I don't know what dimension that is. Apparently, that's the dimension where the sorcerers have stuffed animals on their wands.
You're like on one of those like children's puppet shows. Like the evil wizard on a children's puppet show, maybe?
Could be. I like that.
Yeah. You fight Barney.
Don't think we've forgotten about you, Defendant Oshiro.
No, we don't have to do this.
Oh, sorry. First.
See? You did forget about it. Okay.
So who is the son of Ares now?
Ooh.
Don't I wish? No, that was a one-time thing. I mean, we were doing the first season of the Percy Jackson TV show, and I was on set in Vancouver, and they had to try out different Harley Davidsons for Adam Copeland, our Ares, to ride.
How many books have you written? Ugh. Okay, anyway, yeah, so I started off a cute little kid that was taken in Boise, Idaho after I was adopted. Oh boy. First of all, the fact that this is a Polaroid makes me feel so old. But this is a Polaroid. I mean, I guess I changed because I grew up, I got bigger. But I would like to this is evidence, by the way, if you look at the bottom, it shows my hobby when I was student of the week, 11 years old. My hobby when I was a kid, writing stories. You can't read it in the back. I wrote my first book when I was 10 years old. It was a Goosebumps book, because I love the Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine. I'm happy to tell you all the name of my first book was Stay Out of the Closet. Thank you for laughing at that. So, yeah, I got bigger, I got nerdier, so I guess I changed.
Well, you allege you've been a writer this whole time, but
No changes.
what happened here?
First of all, not too much reaction from the crowd. Calm down. I like to make this joke whenever I see this photo that I'm basically gay Mexican Nico. And I mean, it is really a thing that we talked about as well is one of the reasons. First of all, Nico was always my favorite character reading through the series, and a lot of it comes from being able to understand him on a level, because we do have actual similarities in our past. I mean, I didn't time travel through a weird hotel, but I was the spooky kid who was attracted to all things dark, and when I learned about Greek mythology, Hades was always my favorite god. So if you were wondering which godly parentage I would have, Hades, duh. But I mean, I guess I also changed my look a few times. Oh no. I need you to know, we showed this photo yesterday, and I made a joke that this was me pretending to be straight, and then someone tweeted at me, "I've never seen you so butch, Mark." That is the hardest photo of me ever taken. It's me and my best friend Ramon outside of an AFI show in Los Angeles, California. I'm big on music. Music is... Oh no, I'm feeding into this thing about me changing and maybe lying. Oh, I don't like where this is going.
You can continue.
Oh boy. I used to be in punk rock bands too. I played guitar, like Rick. I had an idea when I was, in college that I would be a rock star, and I don't know about you, I kind of feel like a rock star right now. I feel like this is pretty cool.
Then what happened here?
And then what happened here?
A child of
What did happen here? This was taken for a calendar from my friend Danielle Clayton, who wrote a wonderful series. Thank you. Oh, I love you! Okay, sorry. You're one of my favorite humans on the planet. Sorry. Anyway, everyone leave except for you. No, just kidding. who wrote a series called The Bells, and so I am a bell in this photo. But what you need to know is I took this photo on Valentine's Day in Central Park with my friend Zoraida Cordova, and everyone thought we were getting married. People would come up and be like, congratulations, and I'd have to be like, oh, honey, no, that's not happening. I don't know, I like different looks. I think I look different from there to here, because maybe I do like changing. It's fun.
A child of Hades would not dress like Demeter, and a child of Hades would not be a child of Hermes. Running on the air? How is it that you were able to run on the air?
So, some of you who follow me on social media know that I'm currently training for my first marathon. I'm very excited, it's in December. So it is something that's fun, it's like a meditative thing for me. I need you to also know, I have to continue training on this tour. So yesterday I ran 15 miles in Boston. Hold on, that's not the thing you need to be clapping for. You need to be clapping for one of your own, because I am 11 miles in, covered in sweat, hunched over at a stoplight, and a car rolls by near the Charles River, the back window rolls down, and someone who was either a child or an adult who looked like a child just went, Nico! And then just kept going. So, I don't know who that was, but shouting made my whole day. It was incredible. So yeah, I like running. I like things that are different.
Now, there's more evidence of changing their profession.
No.
The teacher became a writer.
True. But, you know, I mean, it started with me in the classroom telling Greek mythology. I always liked that. It was always my favorite when I was a student. And then when I became a teacher, it was everybody's favorite unit all year long. And so it didn't feel like much of a shift when I told my son the bedtime story that became Percy Jackson. And then I decided to kind of take it on the road and go to school visits and read from the book. And I still kind of feel like I'm a teacher. It's just that I have like millions of you in my class, and I don't have to grade your papers, so it's a win-win. Oh, okay.
And then changing to Roman mythology, why would you change from Greeks to
Okay,
Romans?
so
Those thieves, unimaginative, why?
I mean, the Roman mythology is in a lot of ways very similar to Greek mythology, the Greek and Roman. And they would ask me, Rick, well, are you ever going to do anything about Aztec mythology, or the many West African mythologies, or Chinese mythology? I mean, there's so many wonderful mythologies in the world. But the thing is, I didn't grow up with them. I didn't know them like from the inside out, like I felt I did with Greek or Norse or even Egyptian. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be better if I found other writers who are like from those cultures, who grew up with these stories, who would want to write fun middle grade fantasy books based on their mythologies, and I would just be the publisher and kind of the cheerleader, turn the spotlight on them and say, if you like Percy Jackson, I didn't write these, but I think you're going to love them. And that was Rick Riordan Presents, and it has done so well. There are so many fantastic authors that have published. I've been really fortunate. So yeah, I got to stand by this change. It was a good one.
Oshiro, you're accused of changing your genre.
Oh no.
Oh, thank you again.
Look, some people don't know this, but I published 7 books before The Sun and the Star. And one thing about me, and I'm sure there are other people really here as well, I'm the type of nerd that I like a lot of different types of stories. I don't just like one. In fact, I think a lot of people don't know, my favorite genre is actually horror, but I don't write a whole lot of horror. Yes, have wanted to write books in many different genres. And in fact, genres, I think, informed us writing together for The Sun and the Star, and for now The Court of the Dead. For example, Anger is a Gift, if you are interested in themes of like social justice and unfairness, that is a contemporary novel. If you like weird chaos magic, Each of Us a Desert is my fantasy novel. Into the Light is a psychological thriller, particularly if you want to read something. I loved getting to write Nico and his struggles with mental health. That is a book that is about that. So yes, I like to genre hop and jump around to different types of stories. Because I feel like, oh no.
Age groups.
Oh, yes. Look, when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I was a young Latino kid who was in the closet. I didn't have anything like the Percy Jackson books or the Rick Riordan Presents books. Or if they were out there, I didn't know that they were there. So as I started writing books, it was very important to me to write books from the perspective of me as a kid and the kind of kids that I grew up with. So yes, I also decided to write middle grade, like The Insiders, which is about a magical closet. I'm very proud of that book. Or You Only Live Once, David Bravo, which is a time travel novel about an adopted kid, because I was adopted. Or even Jasmine is Haunted, which is about a girl who uses ghosts to help her deal with grief. Because I think young people, especially kids who are like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, deserve to read stories that represent them and tell the kind of things that they've been through. So yes.
And you couldn't even keep the length of your work consistent?
Oh, yeah. I love short stories, everyone. I grew up, there was a television show that I got to watch when I was a kid called The Twilight Zone. And The Twilight Zone is one of the most formative, sort of pieces of fiction that I experienced. But in particular, it's like a TV show of short stories. Every episode is different characters, different casts. So I love getting to write a short story. And so these are all different anthologies that I've been in. There's vampire stories. Oh my gosh, what's another one? I wrote a very nasty horror story for The White Guy Dies First called Wasps. I'm very, very proud of it. It's very scary and spooky. So yeah, I like to write very long books like the Nico Di Angelo ones, and then very short stories because I do what I want. Including, how many of you like Star Wars? I love Star Wars. Star Wars, that's my first fandom. I love Star Wars so much, you can't see it all. I literally have a Star Wars sleeve on my right arm. By the way, I have the Death Star up here, but from Return of the Jedi, so I like to tell people it's not fully operational. Anyway, that's who I am. Yeah, before I wrote for Percy Jackson, I got to write for Star Wars. I wrote a short story for a certain point of view, from the point of view of the Wampa who attacks Luke. I don't know how they let me write this story, because now Wampas are canonically poly. You're welcome. You needed that. And then I got to write Star Wars Hunters, Battle for the Arena, about a maybe potential Sith Lord who has to fight in like a wrestling arena. It's kind of like Overwatch meets professional wrestling. But very gay. Anyway, yeah, I write for things and stuff. I'm very,
Then you decide to write together. Another change.
We did. How many of you have heard of The Sun and the Star? How many of you were here, well not here, but were at I know you must have been, 2 years ago, when Rick and I were we were somewhere in New York, off Broadway? Town Hall.
Town Hall.
Thank you. Were any of you at Town Hall? Thank you for coming back. Boy, our collaboration this time is so much more unhinged. Rick and I have written another Nico Di Angelo book that you are all here to celebrate.
Sort of changed the process a little bit. I don't know. I think what we discovered writing The Sun and the Star is that we do have a lot of things in common with our process. We're both outliners, so we like to kind of have the main, call them the beats of the story, so we know where we're going. We both do multiple drafts. So we do have that in common. We are very different writers. We have sort of different skill sets. So when I thought about writing a Nico Di Angelo book, yes, I've written from Nico's point of view before, and it's always fun. But the idea of doing an entire book from his point of view and Will's point of view seemed a little daunting to me, because, Nico has already been through a lot. He is a young gay man in the United States and dealing with all of that too. He's in his first real relationship. And I didn't really have kind of the frame of reference. I didn't feel to do him justice fully the way he deserves. So I talked to my editor and said, I would really love to find a co-author who could help me with this. And she said, are you familiar with Mark Oshiro? And I said, yes, I love their work. I had read Anger's a Gift. I thought that was a fantastic idea. So we approached Mark, and fortunately for all of us, he said yes. And was that how you remember it?
Well, we realized yesterday you said fortunately you were available. I wasn't actually, because when I got the call, I was secretly writing the Star Wars book and was not allowed to take on another project. And so I was like, but I have to say yes to this. The year I wrote The Sun and the Star, that was the 4th book I wrote in 1 year because of my schedule. Was I gonna say no? No. But yes, it is how I remember it. I will say, we're being charged with changing our process. I don't know that it changed, except for in one important way, which is the idea came from me this time.
That's right. That's
from
right.
a joke that Rick made maybe in New York on stage when we were sound checking.
Yeah, I think it was during a sound check in New York. You're right. Yeah, and it was about we were just riffing on whatever, and we were talking about the Minotaur just because, and we said like, well, where does he get his tidy whities? I think it's funny, but where does he just go to Walmart and buy them? And then one of us said, well, maybe he knits his own. And that whole book was born out of that one very weird idea, that in his spare time, the Minotaur knits his own underwear.
I need you to know that's literally the tone of the Court of the Dead. Like, there are some pretty intense things that happen, but the weird thought experiment of what if he knits his own tidy whities, it's only gonna get weirder. Has anyone finished it yet? So you know how weird it gets. Yeah, all right. What are you oh no, are you charging us?
Nico went from a dour goth boy to a well-adjusted young man with a sunny boyfriend.
True.
Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, he's still, dour's a good word. I mean, at times he can be, a goth sort of dark, brooding type. Absolutely, I think that's his vibe. But yes, he did find love. He found Will Solace, who is certainly more on the bright, optimistic, sunny side, being the son of the sun god. But again, I think this was who he was kind of meant to be all along, even if he didn't know it at the time. This is, dare I say, a natural change.
We don't even want to talk about this one.
Don't get me
No, yes we do. So many of you may have noticed, and they certainly have tweeted at us and said stuff about, hey, someone's half-sibling is missing from The Sun and the Star. There's only one brief mention of Hazel Levesque in The Sun and the Star, and I want you to know, as much as we literally did not plan Court of the Dead, that was one element we planned, which is if we're ever going to do this again, it has to be about Hazel, because she can't just be a little throwaway line and that's it. She needs to play a bigger part in a story, and there wasn't a way in Sun and the Star to do that without it feeling cheap and almost like a weird cameo. So the line was, Minotaur, tidy whities. I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks, and then I was like, well, I want to write about Hazel. How do those two things relate? And the key is Nico. Because what do all three of those characters deeply dislike? Being judged. They dislike being judged. Hazel has been judged for her past. Nico's been judged for his past. And so maybe we also created a whole new cast of characters who also don't like being judged. These drawings are so cute. Oh my God. I can't wait for you to meet these characters. There are a lot of new people, a lot in this book. some familiar faces, but these were probably the most fun. They're probably my favorite part of the book.
I agree. This is such a dream team of, well, I'm not going to say monsters because we've changed it. They prefer the term mythics, which is what you
maybe
have.
some of you have on your hats.
And maybe sometimes the beings that we call monsters don't see themselves that way at all. And that's not how they want to identify. That's not how they feel about themselves. So this is something that I think is going to turn the world of Percy Jackson upside down for some of you. You're going to have a totally different idea about who are the heroes and who are the monsters.
And perhaps, if you have read The Sun and the Star, you may have noticed some things that happen at the end of that book. This book is very much about the ramifications of what Nico and Will have done, and you will find out when you read the book.
Then you changed your whole trajectory. You were normal, everyday, average writers, and now you're famous celebrities.
Yeah. Y'all, it was on the New York Times bestseller list for like almost 2.5 years. Who was buying it for 2.5 years? Just you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
New copy every day.
Thank you. I want you to know, like, a little. I haven't talked about this, and you get to hear this now live on stage. A literal life goal of mine was to just be on the New York Times list once, and we were on it 120 some odd times. So thank you, first of all, for letting me be a part of this. But then all of you who can't find this book, I don't know, are you building a weird Nico fort? You should be building a weird Nico fort in your house. We have been absolutely blown away by the support, and it is that support that made it viable to do another book. And now, all of you have it. Oh, Rick.
Riordan is changing his medium.
Yes. So around about, I don't know, 2018 or so, I got the word that the Fox Corporation had been sold to Disney, who publishes my books. Fox bought the rights, adaptation rights for screen for Percy Jackson way back in 2002. And if you're keeping track, yes, that was long before the book was even published. They got a manuscript they said, we must have. And so back then, I was a middle school teacher. What did I know about Hollywood? I knew nothing. So I had to go find a film agent, and they did the best they could with the deal that they had. But like 99.9% of authors, I had no control, zero control over anything about the adaptation. And from Hollywood's point of view, that makes sense. They're like, look, we know how to make a movie, we know how to make a TV show, you do not. We're putting up tens of millions of dollars for this, you are not. You gotta let us do our job. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And so when the merger happened, I went to Disney and I said, hey, I hear that you now own Fox. Do I have an idea for you? And Becky, my wife, and I became executive producers in this new TV show that is now on Disney+. It has been so cool and so eye-opening. I knew that making a TV show must be hard. I had no idea how difficult. Every single day that we're filming, and we're filming season 3 right now in Vancouver. Every single day, it takes more people to run the show than there are in this audience. That's how big the crew is. That's a lot of people every single day. And we've learned a lot. I have learned how a TV show gets made. I have learned about the process. Now, when I look at something and it's been changed from the book, even if I don't like it, I'm not talking about mine, but like any other book I've ever read that was adapted, I now understand how that could have happened. because there are so many people that have to weigh in and give their opinion. It's miraculous, honestly, that anything ever gets made. But I'm really happy with it, and I have to say, the second season,
Let's go!
which comes out December 2nd, I really love season 1. I have to say, season 2, I believe, is better. I'm a perfectionist. I always look at what I did before and say, okay, but I could do better. And so that's what we went into this season with thinking, and I think we did it. I think you guys are gonna like it a lot.
Expecting you.
Let's do this. Action. Percy Jackson began as a bedtime story for my son. All these years later, it's become a story for kids all over the world.
It all started with a book that 180 million people around the world adore.
The books are really special to me. I think I've reread all of them 6 times so far. I enjoyed them a lot in 3rd grade, and I still enjoy them now. I'll find out who I am.
Oh my god, it was amazing!
You're more than a hero now.
The fans that have read the books can say, I could be Annabeth Chase or Percy Jackson. You can be the hero no matter what you look like, no matter what your personal challenges are, no matter where you come from.
I feel like it makes me realize that I can achieve really great things in my life.
You are not broken. You are singular.
There was this demand for a really faithful adaptation of the stories.
Rick has given 20 years of his life to this material, building this with us. It was crucial. It was going to make the difference of this working or not working.
So what comes next? We're going to need all the help we can get.
Brace yourself, Percy.
Let's go do the impossible.
It's crazy how it went from the bedtime story to 20 years ago.
You're changing the world.
I'm curious. So I'm part of an organization, or I work for an organization here in the New York-ish area. No, we're not in New York, but we know it's right over there. Called Lambda Literary Writers in Schools, where I get to go to middle schools and high schools, and all the kids get free books. I first of all need to publicly say, now that I'm in this area, I'm sorry I gaslit you all and lied to you for a year. Because I would be in these visits and they'd be like, is there a second book? And I'm like, oh, Rick and I are so busy, we don't have to. It was done. We were already done with it. And found out the hard way this year when I was visiting schools that these kids were mad, very angry that I lied to them. I'm like, sorry, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to, it's fun. One of the things that I've shared with Rick that's been so fulfilling and heartwarming to me is the amount of kids specifically who read The Sun and the Star and are like, oh, you wrote me. You wrote what I think about, what I'm going through. And in particular, and it is something that has happened for me as just an out queer author in general, but has just ramped up a lot in the last year or two, is the number of kids who come out to me at these school visits, who tell me that they're non-binary, who tell me that they're trans, who tell me that they're queer, and are just like, thank you for writing this book. One, because not only can I see myself, but I can now give this book to someone else and be like, this is what it's like for me. So yeah, I think we've done a different type of story in The Court of the Dead, where we're very much thinking about, you know, how can we talk about what's going on in the world? I think there's some themes in here you will see are a little on the nose, which, by the way, we started 2 years ago, so we didn't necessarily plan for them to be relevant, but I love that the series has always been about what is right and what is wrong, how you can help people you've never met before and see them as family. And I think the Nico Di Angelo books inhabit those themes so perfectly. So yes, we are trying to change the world.
Guilty.
I forgot you had the gavel.
This court has heard enough. I think the audience will agree I have been more than open-minded and even-handed in my treatment, but this is just no. I can't believe how much you have changed, and I gave you fair warning. If you changed, you will hang for it. Bailiff, take them to the gallows.
Your Honor, a call's coming. I think you better take it.
Yeah, what? Oh, hello, Lord Hades. How are you? Yes, I have Mr. Riordan and Mr. Oshiro here. Yes, they're doing fine. No, an unauthorized trial? No. I would never do an unauthorized trial without your permission, Lord Hades. It was more like a good hang, shall we say? You want to see me? Sure, I think we can fit you in. We have a pretty busy docket schedule, but I think how about 2 weeks solstice? Would that work for you, Lord Hades? Now?
Court is adjourned.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good riddance.
Now that the judge is gone, we can do whatever we want.
What are we doing?
I have more questions for the accused, but they're friendly. They're from the audience.
Okay, yay.
Hi, guys. Love y'all.
Hi, same.
Hi. Is that from you or the card? Okay, both. All right.
Which houses would you both be in? Greek or Roman campus?
I mean, I answer Hades. That's my dad. I shouldn't say that. That's my dad. I'll say it. Who cares? Hades. In a heartbeat.
As you're saying that, I just realized, normally I'll say something like, just facetiously, like, yeah, I'd probably get Dionysus or something, just to be able to look like I make grape juice, yay! But after the Court of the Dead, I'm not sure that that's such a bad thing. Dionysus takes such an unexpected but perfect role in kind of helping Nico work through his various issues and that's thanks to you. I didn't think of that. That was just so perfect that now I'd kind of be proud to be a son of Dionysus.
The judge isn't here, so we can say we changed that too.
Yeah, meaners.
What kind of places or things do Nico and Will like to do together in their free time?
What a question!
It's PG, remember.
That broke me. I was fine. I had a G-rated answer, and now he's... Okay, I think Nico, in particular, is learning new card and board games and teaches them to Will and brings in the other campers to play them. I'm going to be very specific. This is a headcanon that is not real, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm a huge fan of this social deception game called Blood on the Clock Tower. Nico is absolutely a storyteller, so he can moderate murder every single night, 100%.
I have only answered this question actually in Italian. I did an Italian interview recently, but I will say it in English now. I think secretly Nico is a fan of the romantasy genre. Yeah, I don't think he'd admit it, but I mean, violence and darkness and romance? Sign him up. And I can see him sharing those books with Will.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good answer.
How many times was your writing rejected?
No, that's a good question, actually.
It's a good question.
Do you know? I know
Well, I think my first book that I ever wrote was way before Percy Jackson. It was a private eye novel for adults set in San Antonio. It was called Big Red Tequila. And it was rejected by, I think at the time, every major publisher in New York. It was rejected 13 times. The 14th person finally said yes. And I consider myself lucky.
Yeah, so the first novel I ever wrote, I was 19 years old, I was a freshman in college. It was also rejected by everyone. I also didn't understand how the publishing process worked, and I just sent the whole thing to every publishing house that ever existed. So I got rejected where they don't say anything to you. There's just nothing ever happens. I will, spoiler alert, that book turned into The Insiders and You Only Live Once, David Bravo, like 15 years later. So keep your ideas, because you may understand how making stories. When I wrote What Is Now Anger's a Gift, it got rejected 43 times before I got the 44th yes, which was my agent, who then sold the book in 2 weeks. So I love that question, because it's a part of being a creative, is that someone will reject your writing, but we both just kept going.
Which character in the whole Percy Jackson Heroes of Olympus universe do you relate with the most, and why? A future teacher.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Chiron. I mean, obviously the answer is Nico, but actually I'm going to say I am Chiron at home in Atlanta, Georgia, to my friends. I have been, this November I'll be sober for 24 years. Woo! So here's the thing. That means I am the responsible adult when I go out, so I do feel like a camp counselor all the time, where I'm like, please drink water, you need to be drinking water. That person's very ugly, stop talking to them. I have this like camp counselor sort of mentality in my friend group, and I'm very caring, so I'm actually going to say Chiron.
I think I would agree with you, actually. Chiron, because he's a teacher, I very much relate to him, which is odd because his name and his profession is actually based on a colleague of mine. Now remember, The Lightning Thief started as a bedtime story, so I was making it up off the top of my head for my son, who went to the school where I was teaching, so he knew all the people at the school. And so I decided to name this Latin teacher Mr. Brunner, because there was a Latin teacher at the school, Mr. Brunner. He's still out there teaching Latin, and yes, the kids ask him about it all the time. But nevertheless, I'm really, really sort of tied to that character as the mentor of heroes.
Did you ever name like one of your characters after like, I don't know, one of your, I shouldn't answer this question, but I'm gonna do it. One of your kids' bullies or something and like killed him off or something? I may have named the bully in The Insiders after mine, like full legal name, I didn't care.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to tell you which character, but yes, so, you know, that's another way to get yourself into a book, is to be just an awful person and you'll be turned into a monster and killed somewhere.
This is our last question. Do you have any other book ideas? And if so, is it possible to give us some hints?
There is an interview out there with Cosmopolitan magazine where I opened my mouth and words came out that were used against me yesterday. We are not like master planners when it comes. It's something we have very similar in our lesson. Sorry. I literally thought I was being canceled live. I was like, the rapture's happening! Oh my god! Ooh, I actually had a moment where I was like, oh, I should not be talking about this. Okay, what were we talking about? Cool, all right. We don't, and this is the case with my original fiction too, I'm not thinking like, here's what I want to publish in 10 years. I'm maybe 1 or 2 projects ahead. So even though I did gaslight and lie to a lot of children, we didn't plan Court of the Dead. We were like, we are gonna do Son of the Star, it's gonna have an ending. If we get to come back, we're gonna do it justice and do another story. It happened very organically. So here is what we can say. We have talked through an idea. I will say that if you have finished Court of the Dead, there is a thread to be pulled. We have not written anything at all. You have a show and other books to write. I have to write 3 books in the next year and a half for my other projects that I have like under contract. If we can figure this out, I would love to write it. It will be the most, if you think this book is ridiculous. But yeah, I have loved doing this. I would love to do it again. And there's something there.
That's a great segue into what I am about to tell you guys. And that you are the first people in the world to hear this. I didn't get to say this last night. We just were talking about other stuff. And it has to do with the fact that I had such a great experience working with Mark. I really sort of loved the collaboration and kind of doing new things in Percy's world. So here's what I can say. There's a lot I cannot say.
I had a moment where I was like, do I know this? I do know, okay.
So some people have been asking me about the 3rd Percy Jackson book and, when does it come out? And I've kind of had to hedge my bets and say, all I can tell you is it's not going to be 2026 because I'm working on another project, but I haven't forgotten. It is coming out. So what can I tell you about that other project? Okay. After season 1 of Percy Jackson came out with Disney Plus, suddenly all the executives were sitting up and saying, oh my God, that did really well. We need more. What else have you got? And I was like, well, we're already talking about possible the Canes and, there's however many other books in Percy's world. But the thing about the other books is you kind of have to do the first Percy series first because they're chronological and it really wouldn't make a lot of sense otherwise. So I said, well, there are short stories with Percy, and they said, no. What we would love to do is something that we can sort of do they call it interstitial content, which means between seasons. And we've got all these great sets of Camp Half-Blood that we're not using, but the actors are busy, so maybe not with Percy in it, but is there anything we could do like that? And I said, guys, I've got a million projects going on. I don't want to write another book just to write another book. I know it seems like that's what I do sometimes because I keep writing all these books. But honestly, every book I write is a book I feel really good about, and it's a way for me to kind of come at Percy's world in a different way. And so I wasn't really interested, but then I got this sort of middle of the night thought, and I talked to Becky about it afterwards, and I was like, we had a really good time with Rick Riordan Presents and bringing in authors from just wide array of cultures and backgrounds and letting them kind of have fun and tell stories like Percy Jackson. And then I took it a step further and I invited Mark into Percy's world and we got to sort of explore it together and do a collaboration. And if you've read Son of the Star, it's not exactly, it doesn't sound like a Mark book and it doesn't exactly sound like my books. It's something of a hybrid. So I started thinking, what if we did that in books and television at the same time? And I invited other creatives into Percy's world to create a story with me. So that got me really excited. And I don't know what will happen. I can't promise, because TV especially is really, really tough. I don't know how that will go or when it'll happen. I can tell you though that the books are moving forward very quickly, and I can't tell you anything else about it, but I'm having so much fun. And I hope that soon I can tell you more, like who I'm working with and what the story is. But that is what is on my plate right now.
Woo! Well, the judge is out of here, so that means your charges are dropped. You're free to go.
Do you want to, can we take a selfie with all of you?